Hello and welcome to Marketplace Africa. I'm Robin Kerno here in Johannesburg. Now, South Africa is no stranger to producing and selling weapons of war. During the apartheid days, when the United Nations banned sales of arms to this country, the apartheid government became pretty skilled at producing its own military hardware. So good, in fact, they managed to manufacture nuclear weapons. Now, of course, all of that has changed. South Africa is now a democracy. The nuclear program has been dismantled. But the business of defense remains a multi-billion-dollar and often controversial industry.
There's nothing like arriving in style if you're in the business of defense. Ivor Ichikowitz runs a group of companies called Paramount Group, which supplies military hardware and security support to governments and government agencies for peacekeeping, defense and internal security, mostly on the African continent. Normally he meets with presidents. Today he's just got me.
Hi. Very nice to meet you. Diana, Magne, hi.
Nice to meet you. Are we on time?
You are certainly on time. Very nice landing.
Ichikowitz is a South African of Lithuanian origin. He launched the Paramount Group in 1994, the year the apartheid regime fell.
We were born at the same time as the new South Africa, and as a result our vision has been very much to track that of South Africa as it's developed and taken its place in Africa. And one of my great visions was to create a defense industry and an aerospace industry that was an asset of the continent of Africa.
We're at a military testing ground where Paramount puts its range of armoured vehicles through their paces. This one's called a Matador.
This is a complete clean sheet design. We have the highest levels of mine protection available in the world today. We have very, very high levels of side blast protection to defeat improvised explosive devices. We know what's going to happen when this vehicle hits a triple anti-tank landmine. We know exactly who's going to get hurt where.
The Matador can be configured to perform a number of different functions: troop carrier, ambulance, command or infantry fighting vehicle. It means armies can deploy with one basic vehicle in the fleet, making maintenance and repair much easier and more efficient. And it's meant to be designed so that anyone can drive it.
This is not something I want to fall off. In a vehicle that's worth, how much did he say, $600,000? Does that man want to get off this rudder? I might knock him down. That was pretty scary. I don't know if I want to do that again.
The first mine-protected vehicles in the world were developed in South Africa for the war in Angola 30 years ago. When the international community imposed sanctions on the apartheid regime, the country was forced to build everything itself. South Africa's most infamous MPV, the Casper, became a hated symbol of apartheid repression in Soweto and the townships in the 80s.
The defense industry in South Africa previous to '94 had only one function, and that was to fight the wars that kept the ANC out of power. And 1994 opened an environment where the industry became a liberated industry, where private sector could become involved.
South Africa is a major exporter of military hardware, and the government works hard to promote the industry. The country has strict arms control legislation in place, though critics, especially human rights campaigners, argue that military exports continue to end up in the wrong hands. Still, security analysts say African peacekeeping missions are better supplied from within the private sector than through donor aid.
We've just seen with the mission, the African Union mission in Darfur, that was been taken over by the UN. The international community provided that mission with over 100 vehicles, 1,000 vehicles. You know what happened to those vehicles? They were all written off. Because when the mission was finished, all these vehicles were basically donated to the African Union with no logistical support packages. So when the vehicle breaks down, there is no support.
At the Paramount Innovation Centre near Pretoria, there is an atmosphere of frantic preparation. There are two major orders in the pipeline, though we weren't allowed to know who was buying. Ironically, Ichikowitz doesn't do business with the South African government. But he says there couldn't be a better place to do business from.
We're here because we have the best skills, the best expertise, and the best environment to run a global business. And we think that there's a great opportunity for private sector to base itself in South Africa, work in Africa, work globally.
And it certainly seems to be profitable. Diana Magnay, CNN, Johannesburg.